Ladies and gentlemen, can you please welcome Mr. JIm Penman.
How are you? I must say it's very impressive to see so much business enterprise in and around Mooroolbark, isn't it? Isn't it amazing, all this stuff around here? But there's something you probably don't know, and it's Australia's largest franchise chain. In fact, probably the biggest lawn mowing franchise in the world is actually headquartered in Mooroolbark, just up there in Edinburgh Road. And that's Jim's group. And that's me. I don't look like it. You know the most common question that our franchisees get asked? I say, is there really a gym? People don't think I even exist. I was at an airport a couple of years back in Mackay. The lady actually asked me that. He said, you know, you're from Jim's Eye? I said, yeah. She said, is there really a gym? And I said, yes, there is. She said, have you met him? So I'm not going to give my entire life history today. Just a bit about my business and how it started. I never intended to go into business. I wanted to be an academic. I was at university doing a PhD in history for many years. And what do you do with a PhD in history? Well, of course, you mow lawns for a living. So that's what I did. And I started off 1982, which is 35 years ago. And I was flat broke. I was $30,000 in debt. I had some very decrepit old mowing equipment from a student job I used to do. And I started putting leaflets in letterboxes around near where I lived. And this was never going to be anything long term. This is just something short term until my real career took off. And it started to work. Now, there's many reasons why it shouldn't have worked. I am really a rotten businessman in a whole lot of ways. I am very poor people skills. Anybody who knows me will tell you that. Can't remember names or faces. I can't do small talk. I'm very introverted. Poor manager. Very lazy by nature. You know, my wife could give you another list this long, but there's many reasons why I should fail. But one thing I always had was an absolute passion for my customers. I just hate letting people down. It's just an emotional, instinctive thing. It's got nothing to do with money, nothing to do with anything except if I tell somebody I'm going to be there, I want to be there. If I'm supposed to phone them back, I'll phone them back. And when I did a job, I want it to be such a great job. And I can remember my customers saying things to me like, I never knew my lawn could look that good. Because they'd never seen it. There's nothing they'd ever done. No other contractor ever done the job I could do it. And I was fanatical about it. If I was walking out of a property and I'd see a little ball of grass that big on the other side of the front lawn, I'd just go over and pick it up and chuck it away. And my edges had to be perfect, every blade of grass. I was one of the first contractors in Australia to have a brush cutter because that was the one you get all the edges around the trees and stuff. So I had this kind of attitude and amazingly enough, I started to get business. Despite all my failings and shortcomings, I started to get more and more customers. And when I did that, I started to put on people. And that was difficult because even though I gave great service, my subcontractors were a lot more iffy. And I was very dissatisfied with that. And it was a few years later that I decided to go into franchising. And that wasn't really a decision kind of like, well, what's my next step? It was mainly because a very powerful competitor came in, who's been interstate, been very successful, had 250 franchisees, and I thought if I don't try and compete with these guys, they'll eat me alive. So I decided to launch what was in those days Jim's Mowing, and that was in 1989. And I didn't know what I was going to achieve. Somebody asked me at the beginning, he said, if it really works out well, what do you think might happen one day? And I said, well, one day, if it's really successful, I might have 100 franchisees. Well, we've just passed 3,600 and something currently. We're heading towards 4,000, and it just keeps on growing. And the secret to that, amazingly enough, was exactly the same secret that I found with my customers. If I wanted franchisees, I wanted to make, just as I made my customers into raving fans, I wanted my franchisees to become raving fans. And we actually developed a system that was what I'd want to sign if I was on the other side of the desk. We put a whole lot of different things, of systems into this, like that. Can't hear me, all right. I put a whole lot of different advantages in. Like, for example, ours is the only franchising system in the world where our franchisees can vote out their franchisors if they're not happy with the service, where they can put as many people on to work for them as they wish. They can build their business. A lot of our franchisees are multi-millionaires. Some of them turn over millions of dollars a year and they still pay the same base fees as everybody else. So it was designed to be very, very favourable to franchisees. And the hardest thing was actually to get the lawyers to go along with this, because they kept on arguing with me. They kept on saying it's too nice. You're being too nice. You've got to make it more, you've got to give yourself more flexibility. What they mean, I've got to give myself more power. I said, no. We actually have a system. We want to change the manual. We've got to put things to referendum. We've got to ask our people, are you happy with this change? Everything is designed to be favourable to franchisees. And just recently, now we started off with Jim's mowing, and that's where I thought it would go. Somebody came to me one time and said, what about Jim's cleaning? And I said, nah. Jim's mowing is a gardener. That's what he used to look like, by the way, just like me, with a beard and a hat when I was mowing lawns. That's what I used to look before I shaved my beard off. And I said, it's a gardening image. It's not going to apply to any other division. They said, well, we think it will. I said, no, it won't. So I said, we'll give it a try. So I said, okay, you're a funeral. So they gave it a try, and it worked. Somehow the brand went from mowing to gardening. Well, latest tech, we've got 45 different divisions. There's 3 more due to sign up in the next month or so. Driving school and kitchens and what's the other one? Something else. Energy. That's right, solar panels and so forth. So it just keeps on growing and growing. We're now in 4 countries. We're in Australia, New Zealand, the UK, not very successfully, and Canada. And it keeps on going. And my latest venture, which will be of interest to anybody here who's either in business or wants to go into business, it's called TradeNet. And it's a trade exchange, and it's a business that's a kind of electronic currency to help businesses to get more work, and they do it by trading with each other. And these have been around for a while, and I liked the idea, but I didn't think it was great. It didn't work for me, didn't work for many other people, so I thought, how are you to redesign this from the beginning to make it really attractive so that we could make every trader a raving fan? The same ideas I treated my customers, same as my franchisees, same as my trader. Now that meant to a certain extent lower fees. That's not the major thing. It's other elements of it. It's electronic, online. We have a rating system so we know how good we are. And by the way, very shortly, if you book a JIm service on board online, you'll be able to actually look at the ratings given by previous customers to every one of our franchisees. So you can see yourself who's the best operators. And anyway, so we started off with this, and it's going well. We've every month, apart from January, for the last 18 months, we've had bigger turnover than the month before, and I think it could be very successful one day. It could be a real world beater. It's one of those things that might go viral and be all over the world. Who knows? But who knows where anything's going to go? When I started Jim's, I had no idea where it'll be. So that's about all. You don't want to listen to my whole life story. If anybody would like to know more about it, come over to our tent. We've got a few free books left, and I'm happy to sign them for you and answer any questions. And anybody who wants to go into business for themselves, come and talk to me. Thank you.
A legend in his lifetime, and you've now heard him speak. Mr. JIm Penman, let's hear it up for him again. Thanks, Jim. We really do appreciate that. And if you want to get across to the...